Welcome to the Charity Matters podcast. Mr. Rogers' mother said, always look for the helpers. I'm Heidi Johnson, nonprofit founder, lifelong helper, and your host. I've been interviewing the helpers for a decade with my blog, and I'm so excited to finally be sharing these inspiring conversations with our new podcast. Join me as we learn the challenges and stories of innovators, entrepreneurs, and modern-day heroes who set out to solve the problems of humanity. Today, our guest is Katie Norris, the founder of Fotolanthropy. Fotolanthropy is a nonprofit that brings photographers and filmmakers together. Their mission is to celebrate stories of hope and those who have defeated great odds to inspire us all. I'm really excited to share Katie's amazing journey and our inspirational conversation. I'm so excited that you're here with us today, Katie. It's so fun. I've kind of been an admirer from afar of your work for a while, and you've come across my path in so many different ways that I'm excited that we're finally getting to have this conversation, and I get to learn a little bit more about you and your work.
Oh, thank you so much, Heidi. I'm so glad to be here today.
It's so exciting. So, Fotolanthropy, tell me a little bit about what you do and how you began this journey.
Sure. Well, our story has evolved and what we do has evolved. And now we produce feature films, feature documentaries, and our focus is telling inspiring true stories of people that have overcome great adversity. And our story started very simple, and it all started with a phone call. And, a lot of people say they hope to feel called in life. And I actually got a phone call that changed the course of my life forever. And nearly 10 years ago, I was sitting at my desk and I received a phone call from a mother that was just sobbing. I could barely hear what she was saying. And she finally said, "My name is Kara. You don't know me, but someone said you could help me. My son has just been diagnosed with a brain tumor. He's 8 months old, and I really love pictures of him." And I had my own photography business at the time. And little did she know that a few months before that time, it kind of was just put on my heart that I wanted to start my own nonprofit, which was a wild idea. I was in my young 20s, and I just didn't move forward with that idea. I just needed the courage to go for it. And it all came together in that moment, in that phone call. And I remember just kind of taking a minute and thinking, this is it. This is my call for my life. I need to go serve people with the gift that I have. And I got to say, Kara, I can't imagine what you're going through, but yes, we'd love to serve you. And here's what I'd like to do. And just got to surprise her with not only a photo session, but we brought in a videographer and captured the last moments of her son's life.
Oh, wow.
It was very, very challenging. I wasn't a mom at the time, so it was hard then. I can't even imagine. It's hard to even breathe saying those words.
Right.
If something like that was happening to one of my children, but we got to serve her, and that was the beginning of Fotolanthropy. And
Wow.
the things kind of continued to grow after that. Families would call, and their families that have families, going through hardship, and they would nominate families and say, they need Fotolanthropy, they need Fotolanthropy. And it was so honoring to just get that call, because sometimes when someone's facing such a great tragedy, you don't know what to do. And sometimes,
Right.
a casserole, you want to do more than that. And so it felt so good to say, yes, we'll be there. How can we help? And then everything kind of went to the next level when we were interviewing a young soldier, Travis Mills. He's a quadruple amputee. And I came across his story, and my world kind of stopped when I saw a picture of him. And we made our way to Fort Bragg to meet him, and we're gifting his family Fotolanthropy, which was a portrait session and a short film. And I'm sitting here interviewing him, this American hero, thinking, what are my arms and legs? What's my all? What's my best? I was just, that kept going through my mind. And on the way home from that trip, I shared that with our director, and he had the idea, why don't we make him a full feature documentary? And
Wow.
so I came home and told
Had
my
you ever
husband
made
that.
a documentary before?
Oh, no. And so there was just so much content, though. We're like, we can't put the full story in 8 minutes. And our director had. So I was partnered with someone that had such a tremendous resume that he was capable of doing this. But, starting a feature film is like starting a business. So our vision it was very focused. We wanted to produce this documentary and gather a crowd to screen it so Travis Mills could receive a standing ovation. That was our focus. That was what drove us every day. And a few months later, we got to release that film and we gave him that moment. And Travis Mills received his first standing ovation. And it was one of the best nights of my life. And that's how we got into feature films. And now we're on our third.
And at what moment did you think, I mean, you obviously had this calling before that you kind of had this idea of a nonprofit, but you weren't sure. But at what moment did you say, okay, was it with Travis's story that you decided to become a 501c3? Or what moment did you say, we need to be an official nonprofit? Because I don't think people always think about film and philanthropy. I mean, I think that they think, wait, is that a for-profit thing? And how does that work? So tell me about like getting your nonprofit and how that works in your world.
Oh, that's a great question. So, I remember waiting for the 501c3 status, and I remember getting it. I've got a picture of me in my car. My husband took it when we got the letter certification in the mail. But once we continued the mission and served many families and realized what all it was going to take to produce these stories and everything, that's when we knew. So I think we were about 9 to 10 months in when we filed.
Wow. So what year was that?
That was in 2011 we began. So, and I believe we received our 501c3 status in 2012, and it was a great day, and it felt like a new start, and we're really doing this. It was kind of an answer to a phone call, and then we continue to see people impacted, and it was such a joy to serve these families that we just went step by step.
It just kept coming. So what do you think some of the biggest challenges have been for you? I mean, I think that most people that I've interviewed, almost all of them, had a lightning bolt moment, a call, not always a literal call, but a call that they answered, but it was not what the course they had plotted for their life. That moment takes them on a different path and typically down a course that they are not familiar with. And it's a different landscape running a business that relies on donations and things like that. So what were some of the challenges for you as you navigated that path?
There's been a lot because we've had to learn as we go. When we started in 2011, the economy was still recovering, and it was a challenging thing to go out and seek donations because families were hurting, individuals were hurting, and actually to find a solution for that, I got creative and we created a product line to help support our mission, to help us get up and running. And so we created a socially conscious product line called the Photo Strap, which are just beautiful, genuine leather camera straps. And we committed to giving a portion of our proceeds to Fotolanthropy. So,
Awesome.
In our start, we did feel like it was a challenge to go ask for donations, and I hate asking for money. And
no
so
one likes it. No one likes it. Just so you know, no one likes it.
Oh, it's hard. But that was a really fun solution to be able to add that into what we were doing. So, and I would say for us, when we take on one of these films, it's basically starting from scratch and creating a startup business. Each film is almost a startup in itself. So a lot of blood, sweat and tears, a lot of sacrifice. But when we see the reviews, when we see how people respond to these films and the stories, it makes it all worth it.
Oh, I mean, I just watched the trailer of the Chris Norton story, just the trailer, and there was not enough Kleenex available, and it's a 3-minute trailer, and I was a mess. So you are very, very good at what you're doing, and I can't wait to sit down with a box or two of Kleenex to watch all of your other incredible films, because it's so powerful. And I do think that we don't have enough stories made by women, because my boys living in a household of men, they always say, Mom, why do you like to cry? It's like, no, I don't like to cry. I like to experience. Yeah. I like to go on these journeys with these families and these people, and they're really emotional. It's not that I like to cry. I like to feel part and connected to other people. And you bring that through your storytelling. So it's a huge gift, huge, huge gift. And we need so many more women like you in the world. So I know you're a mom, you have a business, you're juggling, life. I mean, you have school pickup and all sorts of the things that we all have in our everyday life. And yet your work is pulling you in a lot of different directions. And I can only imagine when you're on a film what that looks like. And I know that there's days, especially when you are, in your case, you're kind of personally representing a family or a person or a story that you feel responsible for. And it's not like you can say, I'll just wait. I'll get there in a minute. I mean, it's like you are taking care of that family, and then you have your own family. So in those days and you're being pulled and it's hard and you're thinking, how am I going to do this all? What fuels you to keep going?
Well, thanks for recognizing that. I mean, there's a lot of hard days because there's feeling stretched thin, and sometimes there's not enough hours in the day, even when you're up at 4:45, getting enough time in before the kids wake up. Right. But I'll tell you, especially right now, because we've been releasing our new film, 7 Yards, what motivates me and what drives me is thinking of the people I don't even know. And that's the people that are sitting in their living rooms, especially in the season that we're living in. And I know they're going to the television trying to find something to feed them, or they're on their phone trying to find something that is a bit of good news or something encouraging them. So when I'm tired, I think about those people that we could potentially serve and maybe bring a little bit of inspiration to, and that keeps me going. And I've got that phone call. I'm anchored in that phone call that this is what I was supposed to do, and that keeps me going.
That is beautiful fuel. That is really beautiful fuel. Because I think so often times when we are doing nonprofit work, we always think about the person in front of us. I don't think we think about the ripple effect of our work. And I think it's so beautiful that you're recognizing all those other people that are impacted by your work, not just the person whose story you're telling or their immediate family, but all the people that you're serving by sharing your beautiful stories. So I know that no one ever thinks like, at least I've never interviewed anyone, and I've interviewed hundreds of nonprofit founders. They've ever said like, oh, I made a difference, or I did this. I've never once heard that. But there are moments where we're privileged to witness grace, and we're privileged to have a powerful moment, whether it's, Chris Norton's graduation or the phone call that you shared with us. What are some of those moments where you just stop you in your tracks and say, I can't believe I'm in this position to be here?
Well, there's been a few that come to mind. Watching Staff Sergeant Travis Mills receive a standing ovation and grown men bawling their eyes out. That was a big one. Seeing John Payne, the recipient of our second film, The Luckiest Man, surrounded by, he is a survivor of ALS. And we had 800 people come out to his red carpet premiere, and there was not a dry eye in the room. And he was surrounded by friends and family and just celebrating his life. And that was a moment I was so honored to be a part of. And it's because, I always think, what if I didn't say yes to that call? What if I was not obedient to that call? And to think of those memories of these people that have faced so much, just getting to be celebrated. And with Chris, so Chris was paralyzed in a football game. He was given a 3% chance to ever move again. And when we came to him, his next goal was to walk across the wedding, walk side by side with his bride on the wedding. And so getting to be there, film that and help share that with the world and really watch it go across the world, was another one of those moments, just thinking, I'm just so thankful we got to be a part of this. And it just all was an idea 10 years ago. And I would have never dreamed I get to produce these films that just celebrate such incredible stories. So there's been a lot of moments that have been really surreal. So
it's pretty incredible. I think that's amazing. I think that we certainly don't get into this work for the money, and it's certainly not really what motivates us. And I think we get paid. That our payday are those moments. I think those moments
so true.
Are just really, are what keeps us going, right? And keeps us working harder for more. So speaking of payday, and I always say this word, I have a love-hate relationship with the word impact. Nonprofits are accountable to say what their impact is, like any business is, right? How much we've raised, how many people we've served. People want to bet on the right horse. They want to know that they're investing in someone that's doing great things. I don't think you can measure the moments you just shared. There's no way to measure that. There's no way to even quantify when someone can go through what they've gone through, let's just say like Chris, and walk down, with his bride. There's no measuring that moment. But if someone was to ask you, what was your impact? What do you think your impact is in Fotolanthropy? Would you say, is it a story? Is it a moment? Is it a movement? How would you describe, you think, what you guys have been able to achieve in the past decade?
Sure. I think we've been able to build a platform that people can trust, that they know they could come watch our films and know that they're going to walk away uplifted and inspired. And our mission is to serve a world right now that's in need of stories of hope, and that we want to produce films that can inspire people that they could overcome, that they could have courage, that they can be resilient and overcome what they're facing. So, and so I think if they saw the level of impact, if they could see Travis Mills striving right now and continuing on to inspire the world, and John Payne and seeing Chris Norton, we got to play a small role in those incredible men's lives. And I hope they can see the impact that's made, and coming alongside people that have faced so much and giving them a platform, a film to tell their story. And they've just been able to take off. So,
I love that. And I think, back to the ripple effect, I think that so many other people in those communities, whether it's amputee or disabled or whatever physical challenges, or just people that are, like you said, having a hard time. The ripple effect of every single person who, whether they watch the trailer or the whole film, you can't not be impacted. You can't not have an emotional experience with the beautiful work that you're doing. So you're impacting hundreds of thousands of people that have watched your films all over the world. And that's pretty fantastic. I'm sure you don't think about it that way, but you are. If you could dream any dream for Fotolanthropy, what would that be?
I get asked this question a lot. Right now, we are living the dream of seeing the success of 7 Yards. This was a 3.5-year project. It's been massive. Wow. And, in some moments I thought, oh my goodness, why is this taking so long? And it just all makes perfect sense that this film is being released in such a time as this, when people are longing for hope and courage. And to see that this timing intersect with where we are has been a dream, and just seeing that it's serving every major platform is a dream. One story, a lot of people ask me what my next story would be. And, I've got a huge heart for, families that are fighting to build their families and have suffered, infertility. And that is just, there's something brewing there. And,
Right.
it's a story that I think is incredible and some of the most resilient, stories I've ever known. So someday I'd love to be able to honor those stories of people trying, to build their families. But I'm
beautiful.
Yeah. So, but we're here and committed to 7 yards, but I'm excited to get to this finish line and see what's next. And
it always presents itself, doesn't it?
yeah. So it's really exciting. I feel like I'm almost at the end of a new chapter, and then to see what's next is really exciting. And we've learned so much during this film. And so we'll be ready to go serve, when the right story comes.
Yeah. I think I have one for you, but we'll talk about that later.
I can't wait to hear.
Do you have like a motto or a phrase that you've kind of lived by that's kind of your go-to phrase do you have something that you kind of like, one little phrase that you stick to?
Oh, sure. One that's really helped me, is consistency compounds. Every day when you're a mom, balancing everything, and some days you could get so much done, and some days your son doesn't nap as long. And I continue to say those two words because it does compound and it all adds up. And so if I can just stay consistent in who I am and what we're doing in our mission, it all will continue to move. So I have a lot of life mottos, but that's been one I hope to encourage anyone that's in the nonprofit world today. But that's really helped me from the day to day.
I love that one. I might have to write that and put that someplace where I can look at it. It might be added to my vision board in the near future. I think that's a great one. I mean, so much has happened in the past decade. You've told so many incredible stories. You've had a family. I mean, your life has changed dramatically, as most people's does in a 10-year span. And congratulations, by the way, on almost your 10-year anniversary. But what life lessons do you think you've learned from this experience?
Oh, goodness. To never give up on your dream. I mean, there are so many times that I could have said, this is too hard, this is too much. And I think about all those missed moments that would have never happened. And I think about right now, all the people that are experiencing 7 yards and being moved, and that would have been there. So sometimes when we're in those moments of adversity and we can't shake it that day and we want to give up because it's too hard, and we all know, we could all kind of laugh about the nonprofit world and the sacrifices we make,
right?
And and just to never give up, and just don't. And that we've been given this mission, and just to continue going. I think that's one of the biggest things that has taught me, to see what I'm made of and to see what's possible. And it's neat because each project we take on more. And I think some days are really hard, and I wonder what I would have said or what my life would be like if I didn't say yes to all this. And I just know I would have missed out on so much. So anyone listening it's following your dream, to pursue that, just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, that's something we all need to hear. I think it's so easy. And it also aligns with your consistency compounds motto. You have to just keep plugging. You have to keep plugging away, and following your heart. I think it's really easy to listen to the noise sometimes and to take the noisy path instead of maybe the path that your heart is telling you to take. And I think you can't go wrong when you listen to your heart. It usually does not disappoint. Yeah. So how do you think you've changed in all of this? I mean, I think some of the best and most challenging things about doing work that serves humanity is we see the best and the worst in people, usually the best, but we're privileged to kind of an intimacy. And I like to say we have a front row seat to life. And so I think that there's so many lessons that we get from being in these privileged positions to see the human condition at its best and its worst. So what do you think you've learned since you began this journey?
So many life lessons in this.
And how you've changed.
Yeah. Fotolanthropy and just getting to work with these families has just given me an understanding of the depth of life and what we face, and how, if we can have a positive mindset and choose a positive mindset, how impacting that is. Working with someone like Chris, he could have decided when he hit the ground that his life was over. And instead, within hours while he was at Mayo Clinic, he decided, I'm going to choose to have a positive mindset. I'm going to see the positive side of that. And that lesson and getting it over and over and over and studying these incredible recipients has been such a gift. So when I've faced my own adversity, I get to have these guiding lights in my life that I've studied deeply. And so I've noticed when things are hard, when COVID hit, when our Texas Snowmageddon hit, I've noticed over the years that I've been able to have a pretty positive attitude in all circumstances. And these guys would never want me to feel that I can't have a bad day or complain, but it's kind of more of, this is how I need to look at this, and having that positive outlook. I think it's been one of the biggest gifts of getting to serve these heroes, of learning how to have a positive outlook in any circumstance.
I think that is so beautiful. And I think that, I think sometimes people are nervous about charity, philanthropy. They think, oh, they're coming at me. They're coming from my wallet. They need something. I think that what's so beautiful about what you're saying is anyone who's ever served knows that you end up getting so much more than you give.
Oh yeah.
And to get to receive something like a reminder of being positive and sticking to it, and those are gifts that you were given from your service. I mean, that's just a beautiful reminder, I think, for all of us, to just lean in a little more as far as helping one another in whatever way, little or small. It doesn't need to be as big as Fotolanthropy. But in any way that you can help and lean in and help someone, there's always a gift waiting for you. You don't do it for that, but that's what you walk away with.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. One of my favorite quotes that I received from John Payne, the man who's been living with ALS now for 20 years. He always encouraged me, when you're hurting, go serve somebody else and you'll find the purpose in your pain. And that has been a message that has been served me personally in facing some of my own adversities. And he was so right, because we can get the focus off ourselves and go serve, and that joy that brings nothing replaces the joy of giving and bringing, serving other families and all those lessons that come along with it. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, amen to all of that. I have chills everywhere, Katie, absolute chills. You've just spoken to my heart in such a beautiful way. I can't even thank you enough. Tell me how we can support Fotolanthropy. Tell me where we can see your films. Tell me how we can follow you and continue with this incredible journey with you, and all the ways we can support you and your work.
Well, it's pretty easy now because you can rent a movie and support us. So we'd love for anyone listening in looking for an uplifting story to go check out 7 Yards, the Chris Norton story. It's available in many places, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and we'd love for you to rent it, and that'll help support the work that we do. And you could follow us either at Fotolanthropy or 7 Yards Film. So we'd love to connect with you.
I love that. Well, I know what I'm doing this weekend. I'm getting a bunch of Kleenex, and I am definitely going to be watching, for sure, 7 Yards, and maybe I might have to go back. I'm going to see if I might have to take this in boxes of Kleenex at a time, because you are one beautiful soul and you tell such incredible stories. I'm really so excited, and really excited to see what you're doing next, and just to get to know you, because I think that your message for the world is one we all need to be reminded of, about service. And I'm really grateful for you sharing it with us today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. And thank you for all that you're doing and giving us the opportunity to share these stories and bring encouragement to all of us in this industry. So we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. The helpers need help too. The helpers need help too. So I'm just trying to help the helpers. That's what I'm trying to do, because the world needs to be paying attention to bright lights like you. And I think sometimes we're focusing on the wrong things. And so it's really a joy and a privilege to be able to share your work and your story, and just to get the message out about incredible people doing beautiful work like you. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, it's been an honor. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and we are so excited to share your story. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Charity Matters podcast. I really enjoyed talking to Katie Norris about what it takes to start a business that truly changes people's lives. I think her comment about when you are hurting, go out and serve someone else was so inspirational and true. To learn more about these modern day heroes and entrepreneurs, or if you'd like to reach out to us, visit charity-matters.com or connect with us on Instagram @CharityMatters. If you enjoyed our conversation, we would love it if you shared this with your friends and family. Remember, together we can make a difference, one small act of kindness at a time. See you next week.